All right, let's dive right in. Today's deep dive is all about glossitis, a topic you specifically requested.
It's like we're on a quest to decode what your tongue is trying to tell you, which is way more fascinating than it sounds, trust me.
Oh, I'm intrigued. So, for anyone who hasn't encountered this term before, let's start with the basics. What exactly is glossitis?
In the simplest terms, glossitis means your tongue is inflamed. But here's where it gets interesting. It's not a condition in itself. It's more like a signal flare. Our sources describe it as everything from smooth or beefy red to, get this, geographic tongue. Some of these descriptions sound a bit alarming, don't they?
Geographic tongue. Wow, that sounds like something straight out of a medical mystery novel. Tell me more about that. What does that even look like?
Picture this. Your tongue develops these map-like patterns. Patches of smooth, red areas with white borders, almost as if continents have formed on your tongue. It sounds strange, and honestly, it can look a bit alarming, but in most cases, it's harmless.
Okay, so we're not talking about just a little white coating on the tongue here. This is next level tongue stuff. But if geographic tongue is usually harmless, are there types of glossitis that are cause for concern?
That's exactly the detective work we're doing here. There's acute glossitis, which appears suddenly and could signal an allergic reaction, definitely something to be more aware of. Then you have chronic glossitis, which is more of a slow burn, might come and go. And then we have the intriguing case of hunter glossitis.
All right, hunter glossitis, you mentioned that earlier, and now you've really piqued my curiosity. What's the story there?
Hunter glossitis is directly tied to vitamin deficiencies, especially a lack of B vitamins, particularly B12. And this is where things get interesting from a nutritional standpoint. You see, one study we came across showed that almost 15% of adults over 60 are deficient in B12.
Wow, 15%. That's a surprisingly high number. So this seemingly small thing, our tongue changing a little, could actually be a red flag for something much bigger going on in our bodies.
Precisely. And that's why understanding glossitis is so crucial. It's often a symptom of an underlying issue, not just a problem with the tongue itself.
So we're talking about B12 deficiency, but I'm betting other deficiencies could also be linked to glossitis. It really makes you think about how interconnected our bodies are.
Absolutely. And speaking of vitamins, this is where another fascinating tidbit from our research comes in. Did you know that a significant portion of the U.S. population is deficient in vitamin E? And guess what? That can manifest as glossitis too. These micronutrients are essential for cellular function and repair, including the rapid turnover of cells on the tongue surface.
It's like our tongues are sending us secret messages about our dietary habits. Okay, so we've got nutrient deficiencies in the lineup. What else could be causing these tongue troubles? Could something as simple as dry mouth be a culprit?
You're on the right track. Dry mouth is definitely a suspect.
Huh?
And the causes of dry mouth can range from certain medications, which are often overlooked, to underlying health conditions. It really highlights how interconnected our bodies are and how seemingly unrelated factors can influence each other.
It's like that game operation, but way less fun when it's actually your body. So far, we've got allergies, nutrient deficiencies, dry mouth. It's amazing how many things can manifest as glossitis. What else should we be aware of?
Another crucial factor that often gets overlooked is infections. And we're not just talking about biting your tongue. Things like oral thrush, which is a yeast infection, or even viral infections like herpes can show up as glossitis.
Okay, now that you mention it, I have read that oral thrush can cause a white coating on the tongue. It's incredible how many different things can lead to similar symptoms. This is really starting to feel like detective work.
And that's why, as fascinating as all this is, we can't stress this enough. Self-diagnosing is a big no-no. While we're exploring these possibilities, it's absolutely crucial to consult with a medical professional for a proper diagnosis.
Right, Dr. Google is not a licensed professional, no matter how many medical dramas I've binge-watched. Speaking of medical professionals, one of the sources you shared included insights from a Dr. Lilly. What stood out to you from her perspective?
Dr. Lilly emphasized that while some causes of glossitis are easily treatable, others can be more serious and require immediate attention. Delaying a proper diagnosis could have significant consequences. That's why seeking professional advice is paramount.
That's a really important point, especially because early detection is often key when it comes to health issues. It's better to be safe than sorry, right? So we've uncovered a lot about what might be causing glossitis. But now for the big question, what can we actually do about it?
Well, the good news is a lot of it comes down to the basics.
The basics, like brushing your teeth.
Exactly. Good oral hygiene is key. That means brushing, flossing, and, don't forget about your tongue. A gentle scrape can go a long way.
Okay, makes sense. Anything else?
Diet plays a huge role too, making sure you're getting a good balance of vitamins and minerals.
Like those vitamin deficiencies we talked about earlier.
Exactly. And of course, anytime you have new symptoms or you've started new medications, it's always a good idea to loop in your doctor.
Can't stress that enough. It's so easy to self-diagnose these days. In fact, I did that recently. I thought for sure I had developed a gluten intolerance because my tongue felt strange. Turns out I had just brushed my teeth a little too aggressively that morning and irritated it.
It happens. We've all been there. But you bring up a really important point. It's so easy to jump to conclusions.
For sure. But what I'm taking away from this deep dive is that glossitis is more than just a tongue issue. It's often a clue to something bigger going on.
100%. And the best part is, now that you're armed with this knowledge, you can be more aware. Pay attention to your tongue. Has anything changed?
I have my mirror ready. Permission to poke my tongue out for a health check.
Go for it. Seriously, though, I hope this deep dive has given everyone listening a new perspective on glossitis.
It's not just about the tongue. It's about understanding what our bodies are trying to tell us.
And hopefully feeling empowered to take action.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into glossitis. We'll catch you next time.